Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Today we've got a very exciting video because I've got a very exciting parcel, as you may or may not have gathered from the title of the video and the thumbnail. So I thought that we could open this together. Now I've got to be a little bit careful not to show you my address, and I'm always so bad at opening these. And oh my god, I can already see the edges and they look amazing. And oh my god, here she is. It looks so cool, and look at those edges. I'm so excited to read this one. It's actually a lot smaller than I was expecting. I was expecting it to be the normal size of a hardback, but I guess it's more similarly sized to 5 Survive. But yeah, as I said, I'm so excited to finally have this in my hands and be able to read it. So I read Holly Jackson's A Good Girl's Guide to Murder trilogy last year and absolutely loved it. I think I rated the first book 5 stars, and whilst the other two I didn't rate as high, I still really enjoyed the series overall, and it's definitely a series that I recommend to lots of people. I'm yet to read her next book, 5 Survive, and I have heard quite mixed things about that one. However, I have also heard from people that have read this that this is a very similar style to A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, so I'm really glad that Holly Jackson is kind of going back to that. Something that I probably should have mentioned is this is actually the Waterstones exclusive edition, hence why it's got those really cool edges that hopefully are picking up on camera, and also I guess that's what this sticker tells you as well. It's also signed by Holly Jackson, which is incredible. I was lucky enough to meet Holly Jackson at YAWC and she signed a lot of my books. She was absolutely hilarious at YAWC and really fun to meet, so I'm really pleased to have another one of her books signed. And then let's have a look together what underneath the dust jacket looks like. Oh, that looks so cool. I don't know if it's going to pick up particularly well on camera, but it does say special first edition. And then you've got, I'm guessing, Rachel in a very dark silhouette, and then you've got kind of like the movie edges, and it just looks so cool. I've just taken off the dust jacket so you can really sort of see what it looks like, but yeah, I'm so excited to be reading this. As you may have gathered, I intend to do a full spoiler reading vlog for this. That's what this video is. So if you haven't read this book, as I said, it's going to be a spoiler-filled vlog, so I'd probably recommend coming back when you have read it, just so that you don't spoil yourself. I can remember looking at the synopsis, but I can't remember completely what this book's about, so let's have a little look at that synopsis together. 18-year-old Belle has lived her whole life in the shadow of her mum's mysterious disappearance. 16 years ago, Rachel Price vanished and young Belle was the only witness. Rachel is gone, presumed dead. The case is dragged up from the past when the Price family agrees to a true crime documentary. Belle can't wait for filming to end, for life to go back to normal. But then Rachel Price reappears and life will never be normal again. Lights, camera, lies. I am so excited to be picking this up. It's gonna be extremely difficult having this eyeing me up while I'm working, but I'm gonna restrain until I finish, and then I'm gonna be able to delve into this fully this evening, and like I said, I just can't wait. Apologies for the not so great lighting. I ended up working late, and so I'm only about 45 pages through Rachel Price, and I thought I'd update you on my initial thoughts. So we've opened the book with a documentary being filmed about the disappearance of Rachel Price, and we're following our main character Annabelle, who goes by Belle for short. She has no idea what happened to her mum because she was only 2 years old when Rachel was disappeared. Belle was with her when she supposedly disappeared, and Belle was found left alone in a car following Rachel's disappearance. Immediately there's a character, I think his name's Ash? Yeah, Ash, who I think could be a potential love interest. He's sort of like a work experience guy working on the documentary. And firstly, there's a lot of detail about his description and the clothes that he's wearing, so I feel like he is going to be quite a main character in the book. Other things I'm slightly suspicious about is Carter, who is Belle's cousin, but I'm a little bit suspicious as to whether she's actually Belle's cousin or whether she's her sister. What's really making me doubt it is the dad was in custody custody while his sister-in-law was pregnant, so he didn't actually see the pregnancy, which makes me a little bit suspicious. There's also been some talks about how Rachel was really forgetful leading up to the disappearance, like she left the front door open, and also there's some talks about how Belle's starting to exhibit these behaviours, so I don't know if that's linked maybe to mental health or mental illness. I guess time will tell, but so far I'm really intrigued and I kind of want to know, as you can imagine, what happened to Rachel, what's going on. I feel like I'm suspicious of everything after reading so many Holly Jackson books before, but yeah, hoping to read a little bit more tonight and then maybe I'll give you an update tomorrow morning. Hi guys, it's now the next day and I'm filming this in my lunch break. I read to page 93 last night and I'm finding it really difficult to remember what to tell you guys for the vlog, so I've actually been taking notes in my notebook as I go along, which I know is a little bit extra, but just so I get my head around vlogging again, I just thought it might be a good idea just so I can talk you through my thoughts and feelings as I'm reading it. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is the fact that Belle's dad Charlie is being paid £40,000 for the documentary and that he's spending that money on his dad who has dementia, as he thinks that applying for Rachel's death certificate for the life insurance will make him look guilty. So I'm kind of a little bit suspicious of Belle's dad. To be honest, like I said, I'm suspicious of everyone. It's a Holly Jackson. There's bound to be some sort of twist. I forgot to mention in my last update that Charlie's dad, again, he has dementia. They were watching a video clip that had Rachel and Charlie's dad spat at him and said something, and I don't know if that's just because of the dementia or whether Charlie's dad actually remembers something, so he's Belle's granddad, and that makes me even more suspicious of the dad, but I don't know if I'm just reading into that a little bit too much. I also thought it was quite interesting that Rachel is an English teacher and Belle's a maths teacher, who they both work at the same school. He's the one who found her. I thought that could be something potentially. Also worth noting that there's this guy called Philip Alves, I think that's how you pronounce him, who's this random guy who was obsessed with the disappearance, and he went to extreme lengths, pretended to be a police officer so that he could ask questions about the disappearance, but also he dressed up as a police officer and kidnapped Belle, and she was only gone for 7 to 8 minutes apparently, but he was like quizzing her about the disappearance and getting really agitated when she said she didn't know what happened because she was only like 2 years old when this all kind of happened. So I thought that's kind of interesting and maybe that's got some sort of link to it. And then I've just got up to the bit where Rachel has now reappeared, but she's reappeared in the same clothes, which I find a little bit strange considering she disappeared for so long. But then it kind of checks out with what her story is, because she's saying, you know, she doesn't know what happened to her. She only knows that she was kept within a basement for all of that time, and she didn't see the man that was holding her captive, and he just randomly one day just lets her go. And yeah, it's kind of like, why did he after all this time decide to let her go? And she said they drove for a couple of hours. I mean, I'm really bad at geography, so I can't figure out, you know, what that would mean and what in that area I guess is sort of within that 2 hour distance. And she's saying the day of the disappearance, said man was following her and Belle since the mall. He overtook her, so she got into her car, he overtook her, made her swerve off the road, and then pulled her out of the car and then put her in his trunk. And I just don't understand, in all of that time, that you didn't see his face. She also said, this is Rachel by the way, so Rachel also said that she hid her, and I put baby Belle, which I just find is funny because it's a cheese here in the UK, in a bin. They hid in the bin in the mall as the guy was watching them, so they kind of hid around a corner, hid in the bin, and then the bin was like wheeled out. Sounds like something out of Stranger Things, but interesting. And then also Belle's noticed that there's a discrepancy in Rachel's story. So to Belle, she said that the man left the engine running, and to Charlie, the dad, she said that the man turned off the engine, and Belle's a little bit suspicious about the fact that there are some discrepancies, and she raises this with the police officer, but the police officer says to her not to worry, and that obviously as Rachel has just come back after being gone for so long, her memory will be a little bit muddled within the first couple of days. But I just thought that's worth mentioning because that's just a little bit suspicious to me. And also the other thing that I find kind of suspicious is that Rachel wanted Belle to contact the police, but she didn't want her to contact her dad. out and Belle didn't contact the police, but the police then turned up, which I find a little bit strange. It was apparently their neighbour that then called the police, but there's just so much about this that is making me really suspicious. I'm like, is Rachel really Rachel? Is her dad in on it? Like I say, is her cousin even her cousin? I would say I'm really enjoying it so far, but I would say I'm not getting that 5-star feeling like I was with A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. 5-star for me is a book that I literally cannot put down and I just have to keep reading it, and I'm not getting those same vibes. I'm interested and I'm enjoying it, but I'm not really feeling like I have to spend every minute of my day reading it. So I'm excited to read on, and I think this will turn into some sort of weekend vlog, so I'll take you along for my weekend as well, and I'll keep you updated on all of my thoughts. Something I also wanted to mention is I've just got a package through from Fairy Loot, so I thought we could unbox this together and just see what this is. So I've got my trusty sword letter opener, so let's open it up and see what's inside. Oh, okay, so I can see it's the Fairy Loot edition of Raiders of the Lost Heart by Joe Segura, which I'm really excited to receive. I was kind of on the fence as to whether I ordered this one. I mean, to be honest, I cannot resist Fairy Loot. Their books are always so pretty, but also this did sound kind of cool. It's kind of romance meets Indiana Jones, so I'm quite excited. But yes, this is such a beautiful edition. Hopefully you can see the lovely edges. So again, that's the front, the back, and then we've got some really cool, I think it's a Mystera plant end pages. Hopefully you can see that okay. I know it's quite dark. And oh my god, the hardback, the naked hardback looks so cool. It's got some really nice foiling and it looks really nice. And then it continues onto the spine, and then the back just looks like it's blank. And then I imagine we've probably got the same end pages at the back. Yes, there we do. There you go. But yes, I'm excited to give this one a read. I love on the front it says your tent or mine. And in terms of the synopsis for this one, the jungle is about to get even steamier when, oh my god, the amount of times I tried to say this, when archaeologist, I can't pronounce that name, I've tried so many times so I just can't get it, you know what I mean, Dr. Socorro Cory Magia, hopefully I'm pronouncing that okay, is invited to join an all-expenses paid dig in the Mexican jungle. She thinks her wildest dreams have come true. It's her life goal to lead an expedition in the search of the long-lost remains of her ancestor Chimali, an ancient warrior of the Aztec Empire. But as the world-renowned expert on the topic, Cory should be leading the expedition, not sharing the glory of her disgustingly handsome nemesis. Dr. Ford has been finding new ways to best Cory since they were in grad school, yet he isn't exactly thrilled either. With his life in shambles, the last thing he needs is a reminder of their rocky past. As the dig begins, it becomes clear they need to work together when they realise the thief is lurking around their campsite, forcing the pair to keep their discoveries and lingering attraction under wraps. With money-hungry artefact smugglers, the Mexican authorities, and the lies between them closing in, there's only one way this all ends: explosively. I do think it sounds like a good time and a little bit of fun, maybe a bit of a summer read. So yeah, I'm really excited to get to this one. So yeah, I will update you with my thoughts once I've read a little bit more of Rachel Price. I'm hoping to read a little bit later, but tonight Tim and I have planned to cook our favourite Korean wedges and also watch the new Disney film Wish, which has recently come onto Disney Plus, and I'm really excited. I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I'm a massive Disney fan, so I'm really excited to give that a watch. So it's Saturday, and last night I read to page 247. So I read a fair chunk of it last night and I've got so many thoughts. First of all, how creepy is it, the idea of practically a stranger living in your house? And I know obviously she's Belle's mum, but Belle doesn't know her, so she is relatively a stranger to Belle and she's just in her house, and I just find that quite creepy. I don't know if it's the way it's written. Yeah, it gives me definite creeps. There's a scene where the whole family has this big family dinner and the aunt and the uncle recognise Rachel, which makes me think it is definitely her. There is this part where Rachel calls Carter Sweetie, whereas she can't get Belle's name right, keeps calling her Anna, and I understand this could be a complete overreaction from Belle's perspective, but I don't know, I'm still a little bit sus as to whether Carter is actually Belle's cousin. Like, Rachel seems really interested in Carter, and Carter and Rachel both love English literature, which I know could be a coincidence and I could be reading into it, but I am really suspicious. Rachel also asked Charlie, the dad, to leave his credit card, and that makes me a little bit suspicious as to what she wants to spend money on. She says that she wants to spend money on clothes because she has nothing, which is, you know, fair enough, but I'm a little bit suspicious about what that could mean. There's also another discrepancy that Belle picks up on. Rachel says that she's been away for 15 years when in actual fact it's 16, and that's something that Belle picks up on, and she kind of stumbles when Belle picks up on it. It's also noted when they're out shopping that Rachel has this large scar on the inside of her ankle, but when she went missing and the dad was asked to identify any distinguishing mark, the only distinguishing mark that she had was the birthmark, so where did she get that scar? Also, whilst out shopping, Rachel remembers this skull bracelet that Belle has, and Belle says she got it when she was 14 but then threw it in a river a week later, but there is a photo of the bracelet on her Instagram, so she's like, how has Rachel seen this when she's only just got a phone recently and hadn't had an opportunity to look at it? But then again, we have had glimpses that Belle can be quite forgetful, so I'm kind of a little bit unsure about what that could mean. Something that I forgot to mention earlier is there's definitely a thread of Belle stealing things. Whilst they're out shopping, she steals a lip balm, and then at the start of the book, at the very start, she steals a chess piece, and there's another scene where she steals a scrunchie, and I'm not really sure what this could mean, but it's just something I picked up on in regards to her character. And so given all of these suspicions, Belle and Ash start to investigate. So I was right, he was going to become an integral part of the book. There is a scene where they go to this clothes store of this woman who says that she spotted Rachel back in January, and Rachel bought the same clothes that she went missing in, so a red top and dark jeans. And so Belle's really suspicious as to whether Rachel bought those clothes to make it look like she had reappeared. Also, at said dinner party that I mentioned earlier, her aunt makes a comment after Rachel is quizzing Charlie about this relationship he had, and Sherry the aunt says, well, at least he waited until you were gone, meaning that she thinks Rachel was unfaithful. And then when Belle questions Sherry about it later, she says that she thinks Rachel was linked to the maths teacher, Mr. Tripp, who actually found Belle. As I said, I had my suspicions of Mr. Tripp from the get-go. So also in the bit that I read last night, we also know that Rachel borrowed money off Mr. Tripp, but we don't know why. Mr. Tripp seemed to think that she was in trouble, but he doesn't know what kind of trouble. But also, something I completely didn't see coming was that the dad has now gone missing. His passport's gone. They've traced his bank activity to Maine and also his cell activity to Maine, but Belle is really suspicious and she doesn't actually think he's there. She thinks that's what Rachel wants them to think. But yeah, what's happened to Belle's dad? I'm so confused. The bit I just got to last night, it suggests that the uncle is somehow involved. So again, yeah, really intrigued to find out more. I'm definitely enjoying it, and as you can tell, definitely enjoying coming up with my own theories. I'm over the halfway point now, so I definitely feel like I can wrap this up this weekend. So our plans for Saturday is to head into town to have a little bit of a mooch. Last week, Tim treated me to a card game which is called Lorcana. I've actually bought the starter deck that he bought me so that you can see it. So it's a Disney card game, and yeah, potentially I might pick up a couple of booster packs, as yeah, the addiction has definitely started, and if I do, I will definitely share them with you. I think Tim's thinking about picking up maybe a Pokemon booster pack like he did last week, but otherwise I think we're just gonna have a little mooch in town, and then we'll probably come back and potentially clean the house, but also I want to get some reading in and I want to read more of Rachel Price. So we just got back from town and hopefully I've shot some nice b-roll for you guys. But I've also come home to a couple of parcels and I thought I could unbox them with you. So the first one is my Afterlight subscription for the month of March. It was running a little bit late, and I think I've mentioned what this is in my April TBR because I'm trying to stay up to date with reading my book box books. So if you're interested in that or any of the other books I'm reading in April, I will leave that video linked below. So first of all, we've got the spoiler card for the month which says To the Moon and Back, but we'll pop that to one side and we'll have a look at what the book book is. So if you're not aware, since January, Afterlight stopped doing their additional items, and so they've gone book only. So this is the book this month. So it's The Kiss Countdown by Ette Easton, and I can see immediately that this is a colourway change. I believe the original is pink, a similar colour to the spoiler card, and I actually really love the colour change. I think it suits the book a lot more with it being sort of celestial astronaut kind of vibes. And then I've just seen the edges, which are absolutely amazing. I love them so much. Look at that little rocket. And then you've got, that's the back, the spine. We've got some really lovely artwork on the end pages, and then we've also got some lovely artwork on the back end pages, and then the naked hardback. I don't know if it's going to pick up on camera, hopefully it is. It's really, really pretty, and then you've also got some foiling on the spine as well. There isn't anything on the underside of the dust jackets. I do think it sounds really cute, and I can't wait to read this one. We also have some really cute artwork with the author letter as per usual. I do love getting these, and I have been storing them in a photo album, but some of them I do put on my wall as well. And then I've got this humongous box, which I have no idea what's in this, so again, let's open it up and see what's inside together. Okay, so I can see in here we've got 3 Illumicrate boxes, and this one says Lore Olympus 3, so I don't think there's any surprise what's in here. So there we have it. There's Lore Olympus Volume 3, the Illumicrate edition with the beautiful sprayed edges. It is kind of normal on the back, but you have got some foiling on the front, so yeah, absolutely beautiful. And then we've also got Lore Olympus Volume 2, which I'm a little bit confused about because I did actually cancel this, and I'm also expecting Volume 4 and Volume 5, but I don't know where they are, so I'm a little bit suspicious as to what's happened there. But it is beautiful and it's got lovely sprayed edges. I just need to contact Illumicrate and find out what's happened. So I actually ended up finishing the Reappearance of Rachel Price last night. I just couldn't stop reading as I just wanted to know what happened and how it ended. As before, I did take some notes as I was reading just to update you guys. So there's this bit where Belle goes to see her granddad and he says it was an accident, no one meant to kill her. And I was like, who does he mean? Does he mean Rachel? Because obviously no one killed her. So yeah, I was really, really suspicious at that point. I was like, is there someone else that's died, or is Rachel really Rachel? And then Belle finds out from her granddad's carer that Rachel was snooping at her granddad's house the day before, so it's kind of like, well, what was she looking for? It was also confirmed by the police that someone else was using Charlie's credit card, as they found it in a diner in Vermont. They also found his phone and his passport. So they say to Belle he's probably left the country, but it's completely out of their jurisdiction, so they can't look for him. There was also a really creepy scene and a little bit far-fetched where Philip Alves, so the guy that was really obsessed with the disappearance, was in Belle's house in the middle of the night, and he's questioning about where she really was. Does he know more than he's letting on? And then he tries to attack Belle, and Rachel comes in and stops him. And then when the police turn up, she said it was Philip Alves that took her, which I think could be a little bit convenient, and as well as he was in prison for 3 years after he kidnapped Belle, so he was looking after Rachel and providing her with food. Then Belle finds her dad's wedding ring in Rachel's room, which makes me and Belle think that Rachel has had something to do with her dad's disappearance. Belle then confronts Rachel, who admits it wasn't Philip Alves. She's trying to protect Belle. It's everyone else, I will protect you from them. So that makes me think, you know, it's the dad, uncle and granddad potentially, you know, actually the bad guys, and it's kind of like a bit of a flip and a bit of a twist. And then they're having another one of their family dinners, and it's the granddad's birthday, and Rachel gifts the granddad the book The Memory Thief, even though it's a bit insensitive with him having dementia, and also she knows he already has it, and she says it's a special book. So is this something of significance? At that same family dinner, we also find out that the dad proposed to Rachel after 3 months of them being together. There's also an incident with a lady that he met at Taco Bell who he randomly hooked up with 2 weeks after he broke up with his girlfriend. And this is also the same time where he left Belle in the car and told her it was only 15 minutes, whereas now the stories really don't add up. And this makes me really, really suspicious of the dad's character. And I was like, it's not adding up. Is he actually, like, the fact that he'd lie and gaslight Belle, has he been lying and gaslighting them from the get-go? And I was a little bit suspicious. And then also then Belle gets suspicious along the same lines and said, you know, has her dad, you know, where he's gaslit her for that, has he also been lying about the fact that she and Rachel are really forgetful to make them sort of like doubt their own memories, so that they need him? Belle then goes to her granddad's house, finds the copy of The Memory Thief, and actually finds a hidden message which says, "Help, my name is Rachel Price. I am being kept by Patrick Price in a red truck in Price logging yard, call the police. And then I was really confused about who Patrick Price was, and then I remembered that it was the granddad. So Ash, the camera guy, and Belle go to the logging yard and find her dad, and her dad says that Rachel locked him up, and this is when all of the secrets start to unravel. So Rachel then turns up, says that the dad didn't know that she was being kept there, as the whole time he actually thought that she was dead. The granddad was supposed to kill her because the dad blackmailed him because he pushed his wife down the stairs and then she died. This does all seem a little bit far-fetched for me, but it was still really interesting and one of those, you know, shocking big reveals. Rachel explains to the granddad that he was worried that if he didn't take her, then he was worried that the dad would kill her. She saw how controlling the dad was and wanted to leave, and she also was aware of how much he was gaslighting her. Rachel got the money from Mr. Tripp because the dad took her bank card, and when they went to the mall, that was when she was planning on running away and she planned on taking Belle with her. However, it was the granddad who then kidnapped her. However, when she told him that Belle was in the front seat, he's the one that then turned on the heater and then he gave her a juice box. It's then explained that Rachel got out in the summer when the granddad had his first stroke. She lost so much weight that the cuff slipped off her ankle, and the granddad let her out because he couldn't remember who she was. And then that's when Rachel says that there's one last secret, and I was kind of suspicious as to whether that was what I was thinking about Carter maybe being Belle's sister as opposed to her cousin. Belle was then put into a horrible position where she has to choose between Rachel and her dad. However, she does decide to choose Rachel, which I'm really glad about because I'd been suspicious of the dad for a little while now. Then her Uncle Jeff randomly turns up and the dad says for him to get the key. That's when it was revealed that I was correct. I'm so happy that I guessed this one, that yes, Carter is Belle's sister. Rachel was actually pregnant while she was taken. They end up losing the key. I think it gets thrown into some sort of maze or some sort of part of the logging yard, but Jeff says that he'll still find a way to free Charlie, so Rachel grabs Belle's hand and they run. That bit really got my heart going and I was like, oh my god, I hope they survive. And then Rachel sacrifices herself for Belle. She's like, I'm your mother, I will take the light and I'll lead him away from you so that you can get away. And oh my god, my heart was going. I was like, no, I don't want Rachel to die now. And then the dad tries to kill Rachel with an axe, which is just like something out of The Shining. I did find this bit a little bit hilarious. And then Carter just randomly appears and like kind of like, I guess, rugby tackles him, or I don't really know. And then Charlie falls off the ledge, taking the uncle with him. And again, I just found that really, really funny and really a little bit ridiculous. And then the three girls cover everything up. So the mum covers up the crime scene. Belle goes and gets the camera equipment and destroys all of the evidence from that way. And Carter goes to Granddad's house and destroys all the evidence out of the books. Rachel then threatens Aunt Sherry, saying, you took my daughter, I'll let the police know. So she says that Aunt Sherry has to go into hiding and disappear. And then Ramsey, the camera guy, says that all the footage is actually backed up to the cloud, even the footage that Belle and Ash got, which shows that Charlie, the dad, was chained up. However, Ramsey says that he's deleted it and he gives Belle the last remaining copy. This also makes me a little bit suspicious as to why he would do that out of the goodness of his heart, but also makes me a little bit suspicious as to there is a copy out there that could be used against them, which would make me feel really uneasy. And then lastly, you find out that Rachel was the anonymous tweeter who recommended that they do a documentary on the disappearance of Rachel Price. So those are kind of all the big reveals. It's kind of left that Belle, Rachel and Carter live together as a family. And yeah, that's the ending. In terms of my final thoughts, I did still really enjoy it. I will always love Holly Jackson's writing style, especially the sort of, I'd say like the last third of the book. I just desperately wanted to find out what was happening and it was very addictive and I just couldn't stop reading. I will say I didn't enjoy it as much as A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. It's kind of unfortunate in a way that you'll always compare your favourite book from an author when they bring out a new one. I guess it can't be helped. But yes, I didn't enjoy it as much as A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. It didn't have that kind of like addictive, as I said, a 5-star book for me feels like I just can't stop reading it, and I just didn't get that feeling until right at the end. So also I think it's worth noting that I used the CAWPILE system that was created by G over at Books Roast. I will leave G's latest CAWPILE video down below so you can check it out if you haven't heard of it, although I'm sure most of you have. So CAWPILE stands for characters, atmosphere, writing, plot, intrigue, logic and enjoyment. So characters I gave an 8. I thought thought the characters were really well rounded and very sort of detailed and multifaceted. Atmosphere, I also gave an 8. I thought it had a really good atmosphere. It was also really creepy having Rachel in the house as kind of like a stranger, so I've given that an 8. Writing, again, I gave an 8. As I said, I think Holly Jackson's writing style is really strong and really engaging, so I gave that one an 8. Plot, I gave a 7, just because, as I said, some of it felt really far-fetched and a little bit unbelievable, which I know you know you're going to get in a book anyway, but I just thought it was a little bit over the top. Intrigue, I gave an 8, as I really wanted to find out what happened. Logic, I gave a 6 for the same reasons, that I just found it a little bit far-fetched and that it wouldn't really happen in that way, and it kind of felt like a bit of a teen drama. And then lastly, for enjoyment, I gave it a 7. So that came out as a 4-star, which I would probably say is bang on as to where I would probably have rated it. So I would say overall I did really enjoy it, and I would recommend you picking up this one if you haven't already and giving it a read. Although if you're watching a spoiler video, it probably means that you've already read it. So I guess if that's the case, let me know what you thought. Do you agree with what I've said, or did you feel differently? I'd love to know. Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next one. Thanks for watching. Bye guys.